What it is. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back. Here he is. Got the crew. Phil Heimlich, how you doing, sir? Good to see you. Can you hear me? He said you can't hear me. Tarris, how you doing?
Doing good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the voice of reason, Kevin Aldridge, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm glad to see that the Barbarian is back. On the promo, I saw that. Nathan the Barbarian.
Is that what it said?
back
I
with us.
meant to take that off. Let me check this. Is that what it said?
Come on, man. Don't take that off, man. I need him back.
Oh, yeah, I did put that on there. Yeah, I got to take that off. It's all good.
I need him back. I
You need him back.
Bronan. I need Bronan, the Barbarian, back.
Ronan. Yeah, that was for season 1. Phil, can you hear us now?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Yes.
For better or for
And,
worse.
let's bring
By the way,
that up.
I got a question for Tarris. Are we allowed to start with like a
Oh, yeah,
question
all
and
right.
answer
He's
thing, or
already.
is that
Sure, go ahead.
contrary to the model or the programming or something?
It is, but you don't give a damn. So go ahead and do what you're gonna do anyway.
Just 1 second, sir. All right, Tarris. Now that we've seen this recent caricature that's sent out by our president, here's my question: if the election were held today between Harris and Trump, who would you vote for?
Donald, John Chavius, Jaquariostio, J. Trump, every day, all day, and every other day over Kamala Harris and Tampon, Scampon, Timmy Walls.
Is that right?
Thank
That's
you.
good to hear.
I appreciate your answer. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
My man
does
is-
the J stand
I have
for?
a question. I have a question for Phil.
Uh-oh.
Have you ever met Donald John Quavius, Jerforius, J. Trump, our president?
No, I haven't met Mussolini either.
Okay.
I have a
Okay.
strong opinion about him.
You've never been in the presence of Donald Trump. You have no ties with him at all.
Yeah, I have talked to some people who have been in his presence, and actually, here's the thing: they speak very highly of him because he's very kind of personable. That's how guys like him. He's very personable. Yeah.
So was the devil.
I'm gonna stop there.
Well,
Phil.
all the con men. When I was a prosecutor, all the con men I prosecuted.
Yeah. If you ask Eve, the devil had mouthpiece too.
I'm gonna stop
don't
there.
mean
Phil. I'm gonna keep probing here as we go, as long we go. I'm gonna keep probing about this Donald Trump, Phil Heimlich, personal connection.
All right.
Hey, listen. As I said to my therapist, well, I won't get into that, but I do not have what do they call it? DTS? I don't have that.
Donald Trump deranged syndrome.
Or is it TDS? TDS. Trump derangement
TDS,
syndrome is what they call it. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Nawusi Simba
Trump
was
did.
first inside the chat, followed by Damon Lynch the fourth, who's running for Congress. Caprice, how you? Good to see you. Pamela writes, "Good afternoon, Nathan, Kevin, and guest panelists. That's Tarris. That's part of the crew. Phil and Tarris are part of the crew. Christian Horton is here. There it is, representing for the fam. Janice writes, hello, everyone. Good to see you. Steban writes, good afternoon, Hot Mic crew. Good to see you. Nat writes, good Tuesday, Nate and crew. Jerome writes, hello, 513. Carolyn writes, hello. Virginia writes, good afternoon. Dina, is that a face plant? Oh, God. I think it was, I don't know. I'm not going to assume what that was for. Nat writes, he would vote for a verified pedo. That's for you, Tarris, I believe.
How about the one that the one that you again? This isn't me, Tarris. It says, "Okay, okay." Well, he says Travis.
He says you mean Tarris.
He says, "Okay, you've lost whatever was left of your righteous black mind." I'm just reading what the comments are. That's all.
But everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. That's what's the greatest thing about the United States of America. And I can back mine up with my own anecdotal evidence that I can, like I can back it up for how I feel. It's not like I'm just going off of other people's echo.
Sorry, anecdotal. Is that as a new? I'm sorry.
Oh boy,
missed that.
Life experience. Well, let's just jump straight to the first topic. So last show, we were talking about the fallout from a meme that the president posted that many people said was racist. It depicted the former first family, the first ever black first family, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, as apes. There were a lot of things that was put out there, then taken back, including initially said that it was a staffer that had posted it. Well, since then, President Trump said, no, it was me. Matter of fact, I've got a clip here I want to play. It's a very quick clip for you. I'm going to play this if I can get it up. Here we go. Here's what the president says about 30 seconds. Check this out.
I looked at it, I saw it, and I just looked at the first part. It was about voter fraud in someplace, Georgia. There was a lot of voter fraud, 2020 voter fraud. And I didn't see the whole thing. I guess during the end of it, there was some kind of a picture that people don't like. I wouldn't like it either, but I didn't see it. I looked at the first.
So the president says that, yeah, I posted it. He said he saw the first part. It was about election fraud or something in Georgia. So he posted, he didn't see the back end in which it had the depiction of the first black family. And he said, I wouldn't like it either. He didn't apologize. So my question is, what do you think Trump was trying to accomplish by owning the post instead of denying it? And do you believe him? Do you believe that, hey, listen, I didn't look at the whole thing. I just saw the beginning of it and I posted it and there it is. What do you think?
It's pretty obvious. It was
a
screenshot that he had, but he was screenshot it. And like, if you're going through social media, automatically the next reel already goes. What happened is he didn't clip that. I do that myself sometimes whenever I'm editing through CapCut, the last 3 seconds, if you're lazy and you're posting and you don't go through it, you're doing screen recordings, you can make that mistake. He made the mistake. That original Lion King deception, that video came from a black Trumper named Terrence Williams. He's the creator of it. So it wasn't like Trump created this meme and all that. That's what I'm saying. He did, but it did hit his thing, and it was the most racist thing that's ever came out of the White House to date. I'm not making excuses for this guy or anything like that, but if I'll say this, and I'm going to sit down. I'm not going to say anything else about it. If this is the Democratic parties go after for Trump and say, "Oh, this is it. This is the final stance," when he put that thing out there on Obama, we know he's racist now, and that's what y'all are going to stand on. Have fun with it.
First of all, you don't need that meme to say that he's racist. I mean, I think anybody who's been paying attention for the last 2 years that Trump has been on the scene since the birther thing knows that this is just one more quiver in his arrow case of racist things that he's put out there. And my thing is, how can you believe anything that Donald Trump says, right? It's all lies. First they came out, they tried to blame it on a staffer. The president didn't know anything about it. Now he comes out, yeah, I did know something about it, but I didn't watch it. It's like, man, come on, get the story straight. How do you know what story to believe? What's true? Did the staffer post it? Then why did Donald Trump answers, then why did your press secretary and people tell that lie that it was a staffer if you was going to come along and own it? And if you didn't watch it, that just further goes to show you what a joke this guy is. You are the president of the United States. Who posts things without looking at it? What if it would have had some kind of declaration of war against China or Russia or somebody else at the end of that video, and he's posting it and sets off a national incident with that? What kind of idiot posts something without looking at it? So I don't care what explanation Trump comes up with, it's not good. And I think him owning it was one of his customary winking and nods to the rest of his, MAGA followers who like that sort of thing, to say, yeah, I did it and I ain't sorry about it. Yeah, I ordered the code red. I ordered the code red. I ordered the code red. That is what that was, man. And it's just more embarrassment from this guy. And it's amusing to me to watch MAGA and Trump supporters fall all over themselves trying to explain this guy's nature. It's embarrassing. He's embarrassing, and they look like fools trying to cover for him.
Yeah. I got to go. Someone saying that I'm personally insulted that you have me on as a regular crew member. I mean, that just shows me the lack of not diversity, but the lack of like I had a person in church. I was in church this weekend at a funeral, and a person that knew that I blood-washed believer, saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, mad at me and wouldn't talk to me because I voted for Donald Trump. You make that make sense to me in a world in America. You make that make sense to me. Please, somebody make it make sense, because we don't agree politically that you got to cast me out upon somebody who you don't even know me as, just because we don't agree politically. Now that right there is I'll never understand that. While we can't, that you'll take a personal offense to someone else's belief stance.
I'm think was this a person of color?
Yeah, she was a person of color. Yeah, she was a person of color. We was all black.
And you don't understand why?
Jesus in a church, when you supposed to be in a church worshiping God, you supposed to not have the no. You playing. I don't care who you vote for. I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna love you like Jesus is supposed to. Yeah, like you're supposed to love somebody. I don't care who you vote for. That's ridiculous.
Well, I think, and again, I can't speak for somebody else's outrage, but it sounds like you might be reducing it. So you're reducing it to she's mad at you because you have a different opinion. I can't speak for her, this person, but perhaps she's mad at you because she feels like your vote has just put her and her family and the future of her country in jeopardy. So that might be why she's mad at you.
And I'm not allowed to have the same thoughts if Kamala Harris and Stan Ponsimi would have been elected president and they would have not fixed the immigration system. I have my beliefs, and other people have their beliefs. So
you would have the same right, though.
But I would never do that to a person. I would never say, just because you voted for somebody, I'm going to ostracize you and treat you a certain way. I'm still going to love them. I'm still going to treat them as family, because at the end of the day, this is not real, people. This is not. You got your opinion. I have my opinion.
Like I hear you have your opinion, but I can't speak for this person, but there's a lot of people who feel very strongly about what they're seeing in the world right now, and they feel like they feel like they are in jeopardy. They feel like their children and their grandchildren are in jeopardy. There's a palpable sense of fear right now among people of color. You got people of color out here just living their lives in fear that they might get stalked by ICE, and so they might look at somebody who voted for Trump and feel like, okay, you created this. So that's why they're mad at you. It's not because you got a different opinion. Perhaps I'm speculating just to keep the conversation going. I don't know if that's what her thoughts are, but you might be reducing it a little bit. Like, this is real. Like, elections have consequences. What is happening is real. This is not a game. This is not for play. These are people's lives that are at stake. And so it matters.
Well, and here's the thing that you just gotta own, whether it's with your vote or whether it's with your opinion. people have, as Nathan said, people have their values. They have what's real for them. And if you can stand on what you stand on, then stand for it. And know that along with that is going to come some slings and arrows from people who feel like their lives are being impacted by your vote or your opinion. That's the field that you play on. And you can't be mad at people for feeling, how they feel. I mean, look, everything that I write, I get a response from, whether it's positive or negative. And there are a lot of people who don't have nice things to say about me based on some of the things that I say. But hey, they can feel how they feel. I feel how I feel, and I stand on that. And God bless them for how they feel. But that's the field that we all play on, Tarris. And I feel what you're saying, but people have the right to feel how they feel. And I don't have to like it any more than they have to like what I say.
You can't. It's ridiculous whenever you can't see outside of your own echo chamber. And then if she's in, what I'm talking about in particular was the post that Mrs. Robinson said about she's personally offended that I'm a regular guest on the show. Like that doesn't compute up here to a logical thinker that you can't listen to someone who doesn't have your same viewpoints and take something.
It's not about that though. It's not just about viewpoint though, Tarris. It's about values. I'd say the same thing about Donald Trump. I resent that he's the president of the United States. I don't like it. And I don't care if he don't like that I resent him as the president. That's how I feel. And it has everything to do not just with the politics, but who I believe him to be and what he has shown himself to be as a person. And I'm entitled to feel that way. Look, I know you take it personally, but the thing you got to do is not.
I don't take it personally. I don't take it personally. I think it's
feel how they feel.
Confusing that someone will say that they take it personally, that I'm on a show talking my opinions that more, if you take 4 of me and put one person who believes like you, that's good conversation. You're supposed to have that kind of dialogue. And I agree. And I believe if that someone's taking it that personal, I had to take it a step further and say, hey, I was in church where we're supposed to be safe, worshiping under one roof. And my political affiliation, and it's not, and I'm not a Trump supporter. I voted Gary Johnson. I voted Libertarian the majority of the time. I voted Donald Trump I didn't vote for Donald Trump the first time. I voted for Gary Johnson. I voted for Donald Trump primarily, and you can go back and we can watch all these shows. It's against Kamala Harris and Timothy Walz. I voted against Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party. It wasn't like I'm pro-Trump and I'm stomping for Trump. It's whenever you guys talk about Trump, I'm like, come on, man, he's going to be president for 2 more years.
Well, I hear what you're saying. Christian writes, I guess it's not the land of the free if there's peer pressure to think and move and support anything someone else. Is that more of a dictatorship than anything? It don't matter the color, human to human. I mean, it's still the land of the free, but I think there's a point that Kevin was making is that there's consequences to your choices. And part of the consequence to your choice is you might run into other people who feel very strongly about what your choice was and how it impacts them. That's America. America isn't that nobody's going to challenge you on what you do. America is that the government is not going to silence you. That's freedom of speech. But person to person, in a church, in a clubhouse, at the beach, at the mall, on the basketball court, it's on site for some people. They feel like they got a problem with you and they want to have a conversation with you. You didn't say she attacked you physically. She said something to you rhetorically. That's it. So put your big boy pants on and deal with the consequences and have these difficult moments and conversations and stand on business. It is what it is. But you can't I'm in a church. So what, Ann? What's that got to do? Ann, so what?
Kevin?
That has nothing to do with it. Kevin, people are going to interact with you wherever you might be in a grocery store. I would
like to ask Kevin his opinion on bringing political ideology and somebody that, I grew up with this person who in my entire life won't speak to me and does all that stuff inside a church. And I'm not that way. I come with love. I'm going to hug somebody and say, I love you regardless of who you voted for. Like you said it, but that's not, I don't get it.
You don't, you can still, I'm sure I can't speak for this person, but perhaps this person still loves you as a Christian. They love you as a person with a soul. But in this moment, they're in their feelings about the consequences that they have to deal with. You know, I think those two things can be true at the same time. And at the same time, to Kevin's point, there's consequence to your actions. If this is how you felt, this is how you felt, deal with all the fallout, all of it that comes with it.
Okay.
This is what comes with it.
Here's what I would say about what Tarris says, and this is what I always say. You know, God commands me to love you, but that don't mean I gotta like everything that you do and everything that you say. There's a difference. So, and I feel this very much way about. I love Tarris as a human being. He's a good friend of mine. I mean, there's not anything I wouldn't do for Tarris, you know, and vice versa. I know he feels the same way. But we see the world differently, you know, in a lot of different ways, and I don't agree with him. That doesn't mean that I hate Tarris. I'm gonna clown him on the podcast if I get a chance on a point that we don't agree on, and he'll do the same for me. Right. But you know, it's that separation between not liking what somebody says and what they do, with maybe extending to Tarris's point, that sense of Christian love that we're commanded to have for each other. So I'm not going to hate you because of where you stand on an issue, but that don't mean I'm not going to challenge you, and I'm not going to tell you about how I believe the consequences of your choices are negatively impacting me or people that I love or whatever. And I think that's fair game, whether people agree with you or whether they agree with me. Maybe it's 30 years of doing this journalism thing that has inoculated me to the criticism, because I've heard it all, you know, from the nastiest. You know, somebody told me the other day that, you know, I would have been one of the money changers that Jesus would have thrown out of the temple, right? Like this is what somebody hit me with. Somebody else has called me the N-word and a whole bunch of other things. I get it. I mean, I get it. And as a human being, yes, certainly those things sting, but I give zero emotional capital to people who have no clue who I am. And so if you're gonna get mad at me over something I wrote, God bless you.
And I'll end it after this, but she can say, and people can say whatever they want about me. It doesn't matter. I'll just ask people to please step up your political intelligence. Your political intelligence, like we have emotional intelligence and political maturity. If you can't see an overall big picture, if you can't see somebody for who they really are, and you let political ideology get in the way, you're immature in politics. I'll say that again. If you let someone's political ideology get in the way of the overall bigness of what someone is doing or potentially could do, you're politically immature. Because I can work with anybody on any aisle if I know it's going to help my community. If it's going to help my community and the people around me, I don't care if you're a Democrat, Libertarian, anything. If you're going to help, if we're going to work collectively together, then that's what I'm saying. Emotional, political maturity.
Wow. Well, Phil, are you ready to step up your political maturity?
No one has ever accused me of being mature, so just let's get that out of the way. But I just so Tarris understands, this social ostracism can cut both ways. Okay, now this is a true story. This is the last couple of months. All right, so I'm kind of dating this woman. Okay, and you guys may be surprised. Let me finish. You guys may be surprised, but there was some mutual attraction. I mean, you're surprised about her. That's what I'm saying. There's some mutual attraction. All right, okay. All right.
Golden bachelor right here, Phil Heimlich.
I don't have much to offer, but I do have. It's what can I say? But anyway, this is true. So we're kind of having pretty good things. So I text her, and this is just a month ago. Okay, I text her, don't hear anything back. Text her, didn't hear anything back. Finally, I get a text back from her. This is what she says. She goes, I've listened to your podcasts and everything, and I just think that the political divide between us is too great. She goes, this is what she says. She's, quote, I love our president because he can't be bought. Okay, that was the quote. Okay, now I know you guys are thinking, Phil, it wasn't that. She's just using that as an excuse, which could be. But I will say I have, besides that situation, I have had a number of situations, friends, whatever, where basically they don't want They don't talk to me anymore because I am opposed to Donald Trump. Okay. So it cuts both ways.
Yeah, so it cuts both ways. I get your point. Okay. Wow. So she's cut it off because of your critique of Donald Trump. That's very interesting. Yeah.
I mean, according to her, I'm sure Kevin is about to say, "Oh no, Phil." Like I said, that wasn't. There were other reasons that one would. But
Phil, if approval of Donald Trump is your key to entry into a relationship with her, you're better off, my friend. Let her go.
Wow.
If pledging, hey, you don't need you. Hey, look, man, you can do bad all by yourself, Phil. I'm just here to tell you that.
But Phil, what's your take on the president admitting that he posted the Obama meme? Would an apology have made a difference?
Like I said last week, this is just it's actually not a dog whistle because the dog whistle is kind of subtle, okay? But this is just a whistle to the part of his base and that are white supremacists, racists, all this. This is just letting them know, hey guys, I'm with you. And the fact that he pulled it back kind of accomplishes two purposes, okay? It maybe to some degree satisfies the Tim Scotts and the others, but his base already saw it. They don't care. They got the message, okay? So and you know,
do you think it was a mistake
for him to send it out?
Yeah, he said he didn't see the back end of it. He said he just saw the front end.
Well, that's a lie. That's a lie. Well, I just said when he didn't see it, is he saying somebody else wrote it? It was 11:45. Wasn't it 11:45 at night he sent it out? I mean, what? He's got some staffer in his bedroom that's typing something. I mean, come on, give me a break. You know, he sent it out, but I think you and I, all of us here, would agree that if we had somebody working for us who did something really terrible, I think most of us here would say, if that was the case, which it wasn't, we'd stand up and take the hit. We'd say, hey, look, I'm responsible. The buck stops here. I apologize. Okay. So the fact is, there wasn't another staffer, but in either case, Trump, as we all know, will never accept responsibility for things he does. He won't.
Yeah, it appears that part of the strategy is to never apologize. I'm not sure if an apology would make a difference at this point. I'm not sure what that would do, who that would appease, who that would satisfy, who it would touch. But you know what? As I watched it, and I watched it over and over again, I might be out on a limb here, but I believe President Trump. I believe what he said, that he saw the first part of it, and it's about election fraud.
Whoa. When you say he saw it where? I thought he wrote the thing.
No. It was a video. He reposted, basically.
It was a screen recording. It was a screen recording. And when you're watching a screen recording, it automatically goes to the next video. That automatic video that went to the next video, that when you're watching TikTok or not, whatever social media he was on, it might have been X, and he's watching a video and he's screen recording it, and it automatically went to the next one, and then he caught that bottom part. But whoever staffer it was supposed to clip that part on and do the overlook. I mean, it happens to me. I'm not making excuses. I think it was horrible that it came out. I'm not saying, but to say that he didn't purposely look at that, like, look at that. I'm going to put that on my thing. It was a mistake.
Whoa. He started the birther lie. That was on purpose.
No, he didn't. Hillary Clinton did. Hillary Clinton did.
Excuse me. Oh, come on. His entrance into politics, the thing that got him going was a complete lie about Barack Obama's place of birth. Complete lie. And then he recently called the Somalis, not just the ones coming into the fraud, they're garbage. Calls them garbage people. They come from a garbage country. And then he had the Haitians eating cats and dogs. And by the way, I actually don't agree that he's a racist. I don't think he is. I think he is just a rank opportunist. And he will say or do anything to get ahead. If frankly, if he can get ahead,
that's a cop out, because you can't traffic in racism and not be a racist, even if you're an opportunist.
But call it what you want.
Even if you're an opportunist. Even if you're an opportunist.
He has been called. There's a difference between immoral and amoral. Okay, he's always been described, I think, accurately as amoral, meaning he has no principles. He has none. I mean, Hitler had principles, but they were bad ones. He has none.
I mean, Donald Trump has a long history outside of even the things that you named. I mean, we talk about the Central Park Five. We talk about his long history of him and his father not renting to black folks in New York and a whole bunch of other things. So racism, the charges of racism are not anything new to Donald Trump. People just want to act like it is. And again, this is the thing about trying to make excuses for him, whether he looked at it or not. He should have. He had an opportunity to apologize for it. He didn't. That tells you all that you need to do. The rest of it, in my opinion, is irrelevant. That tells you all that you need to know about the president of the United States, who I wouldn't recommend the average person share something without watching it. I mean, people do it all the time on social media. They share actual fake news, wrong things all the time. As soon as they see something that validates a point of view they have, they share it. They don't know where it came from, who sent it, or whatever. But you would certainly expect more of that from the president of the United States than the average clown on Facebook or Instagram or any other social media platform. This guy's a joke, plain and simple. And anybody who tries to stand up for him and defend him, you make yourself a joke by proxy.
And I have one question. The root cause, we talk root causes on Hot Mic podcast. The originator of the meme, of the Lion King meme, was a black man. So he can
black people can be what a black person can
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for the same reasons that Kevin just said.
If Dave Chappelle makes Clayton Bigsby, and then Donald Trump takes Clayton Bigsby, and he so is Terrence Williams. Terrence Williams is a comedian who makes. So
we're talking about the president of the United States, and that's why it doesn't matter. And Kevin just said it over and over again. And this is the part that I think a lot of people are missing. If you're in a leadership position, there's some things you should and should not be doing. And I don't care what level it is. You can be an after-school director. You can be a YMCA director. Number one, you shouldn't be putting certain type of memes on the internet. Number one. Especially if you're the president of the United States. Why are you posting memes anyway when inflation is going up? There's so much anxiety out here. People are losing jobs to AI, and you posted memes at 11:45 a.m. for jokes? That's ridiculous off the top. In any way. It wouldn't matter who it was. And then secondly, no matter what you're going to post, you're supposed to review it, all of it, not just the first 5 or 10 seconds before you post it. That goes for any person anywhere in America who has any kind of job, who has family. You don't just blind post something before you've done your due diligence to make sure that it's accurate. You don't do that. And for the president to do that, I just think it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. So number one, why are you posting memes? Number one, when do we start doing this? And number two, okay, verify and double check what you're posting so you make sure that you're putting out there what you want to be put out there. And then there's no apology. And I understand people are like, well, at least that would go some way, to say, maybe he's sorry about it. But I think we got the apology. For as much as Donald Trump can apologize, in that clip I showed you, that's the way he apologizes. That's it. He said it. He said, I wouldn't like it either. That's your apology. That's as much.
I agree with you 100% on that point, Nathan, and I agree with you on that. The one thing that I disagree on is if he had offered what would be normally a human, authentic apology, I think that would be a huge thing. Now, for a lot of people, you're right, it wouldn't matter. But I think knowing him, who he is, and his track record, to me, for him to apologize in that situation would have been an acknowledgement that, holy crap, I know I really stepped in it on this one. Like if you for him to go if he would have actually have offered the kind of apology that you and I are talking about, like a normal human being's apology, I think that would have been significant. One, because that's not what he does and that's not who he has been. And I think had he done that, that would have signaled to me like a real deep sense of concern about what he had just done, because it's so out of character and so out of the norm for him. So I think a lot of people would have minimized it, but probably not me. because that would have said to me, what out of all of the terrible things that he's said and done over the last 10 years, this is the one that he decides to offer up an apology on? That would have been a significant statement, but you didn't get that. What you said was as close as you've ever gotten to him backing down off of anything that he's done. And unfortunately, that's all you're going to get.
All right. Hey, Kevin, Tarris, one last question, because I know you stand 10 toes down on your decision, and that's great. I love the fact that you can stand on it. And you say that you were voting against Tim Walz and Kamala Harris. So here we are, where we are in the administration over a year now. What would have been your fear? Like, what were you afraid of? What would have happened to the country had you voted for Kamala Harris?
The borders would have continued to stay open. Immigration would have been even more rampantly. Immigration would have been more open. That was my biggest thing. And I've said that since the beginning of this programming, and I have not been alone when I've seen Chicago and I've seen all these countries how they were playing the immigration game. That was my big thing. And the fact how they put Kamala Harris into the Democratic nomination seat without having a proper delegation process. That to me, and then at the same time saying that the Republicans were trying to corrupt the democratic process when they were the one that they were doing that. The Democrats did not go through the proper channel. They did the whole Joe Biden thing, the entire thing of how they came into office, and they thought that they were going to just be able to spend billions of dollars and buy the presidency. I'm not saying I'm for Donald Trump. I just didn't like the way that Kamala Harris, and then tried to say that she was black. And from the beginning of this program, I've stuck true to that. It was never that I'm a Donald Trumper or I'm pro-Trump. I think that lots of our programming is spent too much on Donald Trump because he's only going to be the president for a couple more years. And if we're not careful, we're going to get J.D. Vance. So that's where my thing. That's where I keep standing on my stones, because when it comes down to it, in the 11, we were doing this programming 2 years from now, and you can know where I stand and how I'll stand on my stances. Then when we got a president election coming up with J.D. Vance, who has already shown who he is with the Cincinnati brawl and who he is, I'm more worried about the future. So someone asked me if I would hypothetically.
So if Vance runs against Harris, who do you vote for? If Vance runs against Harris, who do you vote for?
If who?
If Vance was running against Kamala Harris, who would you vote for?
I'll vote third party. I couldn't vote for either of them. I couldn't vote for either of them.
I mean, come on.
So you were afraid.
Hey, how is that a cop out? When I voted third party, we can go back and pull up my voter vote.
Throwing your vote
third party up until this election. I voted third party up until this election. And then this election, I choose to pick Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. And if I go back to third party, how is that being disingenuous, Phil? Being disingenuous.
Why did you do third party this time, Tarris?
And you hate Donald Trump when you know people who know Donald Trump. That's big.
Tarris, let me ask you this: why you didn't vote third party this time? If your history has been voting third party, why didn't you vote third party this time? You could have voted for Cornel West. You could have voted for Kanye West. I mean, you could have voted for whoever you want.
Adam West.
I wanted in history. I wanted my grandkids to know where I stood in this position in history. We all have to stand on what we believe in. And I wanted my great grandkids and my grandkids to understand the process of what I went through, because I've documented all of it. My grandkids need to go and see exactly my thought process through this entire point in history. Mm-hmm. So I wanted them to know where I stood for the reasons what I just said. Immigration was out of control. When Chicago was going crazy, they were taking resources and expending resources in Chicago on immigration. And then you see what is going on in Minnesota. It's been out of control. They opened the floodgates. So for Donald Trump to come in, and what did we say when you said, what is he going to do first when he gets in office? He's going to fix the immigration part of it. And what did he do? There is a zero entrance to this country right now. That's why ICE is doing what they're doing, because they have nothing to do about. They don't take out. They don't fight down at the border because ain't nobody coming into the country.
Tarris, I'm just probing here. So because you live in Kentucky, right?
Yes. How
has the previous immigration policy impacted your life?
How's the immigration policy?
Because it seems like immigration. You keep saying it. So you live in Kentucky. You're not on the border. So if immigration is such a problem, how was it a problem for you in Kentucky?
because it's not just me a Kentucky thing. It's me watching the Democratic Party use black people in their vote. And now that they're seeing more black people go to independent or go into the Republican Party, they need a base. The Democrats need a base. Because the Democratic Party is a party of the LGBTQ community, which is, if you look at the agenda of the Democratic Party, and they need more of a base, like the Republican parties need the racist MAGA to push their agenda. That's why Donald Trump does this like this to stoke his racist base that he knows is going to show up and vote for him. Black people have been that since 1964 for the Democratic Party. I answered the question. The question was, because how was immigration affecting me? I don't like to see the Democratic Party use black people, and then I offer up something alternative as a Republican, and then I'm told that I'm an embarrassment, or they're personally offended that I'm on a show. That's how it affects me personally, the immigration. So the immigrants get to come over here and drain the resources that should be going to black programming for education, for welfare, for housing, for all these things.
I still haven't heard how it impacts you. I mean, these are your feelings. You're watching TV and you're talking about these different places, but you live in Kentucky and you still.
No, he just told you.
I told you. And you want to go? I'll take it one more step deeper. I want to take it one more step, and I'll leave it alone. As a elected politician, I'm okay to say this. As an elected politician in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, if I was to move further, and we've already talked about this in the show before, I'm going to move further as a Republican. And if I see the Democratic Party using illegal immigration, and it does happen in Kentucky, they're using that to gain a voter base, to where in Kentucky, this district that I live in is the only district in northern Kentucky that has a Democratic holding the House seat. It matters to me what the Democratic Party does, especially when it comes to black people.
Am I the only one who? I didn't hear a direct answer.
Well, here's his direct answer. Let me say it because you're having difficulty understanding what Tarris.
Break it down for me, bro.
He told you. He basically said and I've heard this from other black people more recently who share Tarris's point of view, is that immigrants are coming over to this country and they're taking resources away from black people, taking jobs away from black people. I even heard recently that some black people talking about immigrants trying to replace black people. Right? This is all insanity in terms of points of view being put off. First of all, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that whatever resources are going to immigrants, if you really think the powers that be are going to take those resources and channel them towards black people in this country, what world are you living in? Free flow of government dollars are being poured into in large sums into the black community and black programming. I know that's the crap line that MAGA wants to have you believe with DEI and all of these other things, critical race theory and all of that, but the numbers just don't bear that out. Yeah. And this notion that black people buy into is typical plantation mentality, to pit brown-skinned people against each other, to think that we're taking away from each other when the Donald Trumps, the Elon Musks, the Jeff Bezos of the world take all of that and leave you scrapping over the crumbs and convince them that somebody else who shares your hue of skin is the reason why you can't get ahead. It's the same game they run on poor white people, and y'all fall for it every time.
So, Tarris, have you lost any money because of an immigrant, or lost a job because of an immigrant?
I can't say that I have or I haven't. I don't know.
So you ain't lost nothing. Okay, I just want to make
sure. You don't know.
I can't say that I have. These are loaded questions that that we can't answer.
It's not a loaded question.
No, Tarris. These are questions that you should be able to answer before you cast your vote. Before you cast your vote,
you don't listen. You don't listen, Kevin.
I heard you say no. You didn't lose any money.
Get yourself in trouble. This is why people hit you with what they hit you with, because you talk about political intelligence and being able to talk, and nothing that you're saying makes sense. sense. And people who listen to what you're saying, Tarris, people who actually listen to what you're saying, and I listen to what you're saying. I ain't just hating on you because you have a different point of view. I actually listen to what you say, bro, and what you say don't make sense and it don't match up. Maybe it does in your mind. Maybe you just poor at explaining it, but what you putting out there don't make sense, and that's what you're getting back from people. That's why you're getting the heat and the smoke that you're getting, because you're saying a whole bunch of stuff that don't go together, that don't make sense, and a lot of it is just not factual.
Yeah,
and
John writes, Chicago explains it all. And I've heard people in Cincinnati talk about that who don't live in Chicago, who don't really understand the politics of Chicago. They've never lived in Chicago. They're just on the internet and they see something and they see some black people at a city council meeting. And my question is, where is all this energy at right now? Like, if ICE is doing such a good job, why aren't the resources flowing back into the black community?
I got to answer Kevin too. He said something about how black and brown people were supposed to be of the same hue. The Somalians come over here and they say they're not black. They're Muslim and they're Somalian first. They care about their Somalian heritage before they care about. And in that same token, when they got caught with their fraud, they said they were being discriminated on using the black plight. So there is my answer to you, Kevin. And if you can say that doesn't make sense on why we need to delineate and we need to make differences between who's foundationally black and who was born on this country, and then people that come over here
FBA
to this
is a scam, sir.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about, let's not take away from what I'm saying, Nathan. I'm saying if you were born here on this soil and we allow immigrants to come over here that look like us and they take advantage of the system and they abuse the system that is meant to help our people of the United States of America.
Let me ask you this. Why aren't our people taking advantage of the system? Why aren't our people taking advantage of the system?
Why aren't our people committing fraud?
No, I'm not talking about committing fraud. You're saying that these people are holding black people back. Why aren't black people taking advantage, in your opinion?
I do take advantage, but if I take advantage and it's like, okay,
I'm not you said black people. You're talking about in general. We're not talking about you. We're talking about in general. Why is it that you think then, what is it that the immigrants got? What is it that the immigrants got that black people ain't got?
In Chicago, when they took the immigrants to Chicago and they put them in the YMCAs and all these youth service centers that were meant in black communities, and they put the immigrants in there. The people they were processing in the United States of America, giving them hotels, giving them that could have went to the black community.
There's enough money to go around, Tarris.
Where's that at? Why they got to scam and get it? Why are they got to scam?
Tarris,
there's enough money to go around. That's one of the biggest lies out here. That if I heard that too, that money they putting these people in these rec centers. I'm glad they put those people in those rec centers. You got men, you got women, you got families, children. If they're not in rec centers, they're in the streets. If they're in the streets, that eventually becomes crime. You got to understand how this all works.
What are they here for? Why did the Biden
here? They're here for the same reason that everybody else came over here as immigrants. They came over here for the American dream. That's it. They want to come over here, work, buy hot dogs, buy pizza, go to the Super Bowl, do sports betting. That's all they drive Ubers. Maybe come up with a business.
We can't go to their country. We can't go to their country. We can't go to their country and set up shop. We can't go to any country that we want to.
It don't matter. That doesn't matter whether we can go somewhere else. This is America. And that's what Bad Bunny was trying to tell people during the Super Bowl halftime show. Is that everybody, we're all Americans, but our route and our experience may look a little bit different, but we all American, right? If somebody is born as Somalian and they want to come over here and become an American and pay taxes and do all the things it takes to be an American, God bless them. God bless them. It has no impact on you whatsoever. If their children need to be housed and need to be fed, then that's what Rick should do. Because nobody benefits from having hungry, thirsty families, moms and dads with kids who can't eat, on the streets of America. That puts every last one of us in jeopardy. There is more than enough resources in this country to go around if it is distributed equitably, which it is not.
And it never will be. And Tarris's point about this money, this mythical money that would come to black people if the immigrants isn't here, is just a bunch of crap, Tarris, because you know what would happen? That money wouldn't go to black people, because you know exactly what the MAGA and the Donald Trump answer to that would be is no DEI.
No DEI.
No DEI. That money is not specialized going to black people or any black community because of DEI. You wouldn't see a doggone dollar. Not one, Tarris, not one. Because the same people that you standing out there stumping for and got you thinking immigrants is taking your money ain't gonna give you a dollar anyway. They ain't gave you a dollar. When is the last time the Republican Party has done anything specifically that has benefited black people? Donald Trump loves to point to the money for
Civil Rights Act. The Civil Rights Bill of 1964.
We'll give you that.
Amendment, the first is the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, everything
No, I said Donald Trump
that has ever been created for black people has been. I fight against MAGA every day, sir. Every single day I say
you voted for. You fight against what you voted for. What sense does that? This is the kind of stuff you say that don't make sense, bro. I fight MAGA I fight the thing that I voted in. That makes zero sense. That's ignorant. You fighting against yourself. I hate to use that terminology, bro. But how you gonna say
Kamala Harris being cosplayed as black is, to my opinion, is I'd rather have a upfront. Okay. I'd rather have a racist who's a racist in my face.
Yeah, and I will say, someone telling me
that they're not racist. Then they're telling me that they're not racist and they're being covert.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
You're telling me that's I would rather have someone look me in my face.
Have a racist in the White House than a minority. I'm
saying I would rather have someone tell me.
Next topic.
I would rather have someone tell me I'm a racist too, a racist in my face, and I know what I'm dealing with in racism, than have someone acting like they're not racist in my face and then behind my back being racist to me.
Yeah, but that's not an accurate assessment of the choice you had in November 2024. Like, that's like a person-to-person kind of old school black. I've heard that before too. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about though. But I understand. Let's just move on. So let's talk about Bad Bunny. Did you get a chance? Number one, which Super Bowl halftime show did you watch? I watched a little bit of both, more of one than the other. But afterward, man, it seems like the one side of the country, and I think that's being generous when you say one side, but there are many in the country, a lot of Trump supporters, including Trump, who ended up watching it actually because he commented about it. I thought he was going to boycott it. Very interesting. But there is members of Congress who are now pushing for the FCC to possibly look at fines because they think that there were some things that happened during the Bad Bunny halftime show that were lewd, that weren't appropriate for children. What do you think about that? But in general, what did you think about the halftime show?
I enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't watch any of the Turning Point one. There was no sense. The only thing that I've ever seen on it was the highlights for just the memes and stuff. I enjoyed Bad Bunny's performance. Someone I love Puerto Rico. My wife and I honeymoon there. We spent last year. We spent a week in Vieques in Puerto Rico, so very familiar with the culture. I've been to La Perla down there, and I've seen them on when they're on the power things. I've been to La Perla and watched them climb the power grid so they can power their ghettos, and I've seen that part of it. I've seen the coconuts. The references that Bad Bunny made during this halftime performance was better referencing than what Kendrick Lamar did last year. And I believe Kendrick Lamar started the symbolizations of this halftime shows of storytelling. I believe that Bad Bunny did a fabulous job of telling the story of from the sugar canes all the way to the bodeguas, all the way to, like the Liberation, if you could catch where he has the light blue flag, the Puerto Rican flag, the original Puerto Rican flag, instead of the dark blue Puerto Rican flag, just to show that, they're talking about how they want to stay away from colonization, similar to Hawaii. And I get it, because there's parts of Puerto Rico that are just extremely beautiful. But if the colonizers get a hold of it, they'll turn it into Marriott. But I believe that I enjoy Bad Bunny's performance. Didn't watch the other one at all. No need. Okay. No interest to watch that one.
Well, first of all, what did they stream that on? MySpace? I mean, where could you even find that?
YouTube, Turning Point USA's channel on YouTube.
What they said, 5-6 million people watched that compared to like 125 to 130 million. I think
more than that, 137.
Yeah, I think the verdict is in on which halftime show America preferred. We talked about this on the last time. This is a manufactured outrage on behalf of MAGA. I wrote in a piece today about, the hypocrisy of Trump and MAGA, is so ridiculously laughable that it's unbelievable. Here you got a guy, Donald Trump, who wants to talk about things being offensive and worried about how things are going to look to kids. And this is a guy who drops F-bombs, at press conferences, and who talks about grabbing women by the private areas without permission, and the myriad of other morally compromising things this guy has said and done. He has no moral ground or standard upon which to try to say anything about Bad Bunny's performance, and neither does anybody who supports and capes for Donald Trump and makes excuses for him when he does these things. You can't stand up and allow the most vulgar president in modern history to do what he does, and then politically and morally grandstand about Bad Bunny gyrating and singing in Spanish. That hypocrisy. How people even let that come out of their mouth? They need to look in the mirror when you're talking about all this stuff, and have a highlight reel of everything that Donald Trump has done playing in the background, including January 6th, and try to take a moral stand about a halftime entertainment show. People are talking about Bad Bunny had some obligation to unite the country at a halftime show. Get out of here. Donald Trump is the president of the United States, and he's done nothing to unify the country. In fact, he's done more to tear this country apart than any president that we've had in the history of this country. So I just think it's ridiculous, this manufactured crisis that MAGA is trying to create with Bad Bunny. Look, Bad Bunny, I've said this, is not my cup of tea. I didn't really know much about him. Don't pretend to listen to his music. I watched the halftime show like everybody else for entertainment purposes, to try to learn something, to see what it was. I thought that it was a seminal moment in our culture, because for the first time in 59, Super Bowls, you had Latino culture on display. Now, under normal circumstances in a normal America, that would have been a moment heralded for its inclusivity and showing America's greatness. But in the era of Trump, everything gets couched in grievance. Again, DEI, critical race theory, whatever type of division you can couch it in. Quite frankly, Bad Bunny's halftime show is what makes America great. Our inclusiveness, our acceptance of different cultures under one flag, and our fearlessness to be able to put that on display for 13 minutes in the biggest stage in professional sports and let an underrepresented group have their day. I think that's what makes America great, not this crap that Trump is peddling.
What does Donald Trump have to do with the halftime show? Just because he
commented on it. Hey, what did he have to do with it? The whole controversy behind it has to do with him. And he stirred the pot. I'm saying, you saw his true post.
I didn't see it. He said, what did he say? But he's going to say the same thing that his base is going to say, that they didn't understand Kendrick Lamar. It's the same people. Why do we get so emotionally invested
It's not emotional. They're emotional. They're the ones who are triggered by it. It's not emotional when you call out hypocrisy. It's not emotional when you call out
just because I said that I didn't watch The Turning Point and I watched Bad Bunny, someone said that I was straddling the fence. Why does it got to be so polarizing one way or the other? I mean, just because I voted for Donald Trump doesn't mean I'm all in for Turning Point and J.D. Vance and Erica Kirk and all that stuff. Those people are disgusting to me. I would. That's why I don't understand that. I say the political intelligence. A mature politic, someone who analyzes politics, can see two things at the same time. I can see that Bad Bunny's performance was amazing for our country. Amazing for our country. Bottom line, it's not even it shouldn't even be politicized. Anybody who politicizes this and says anything condescending or disparaging about that performance we should just label them as like, hey, they're not even, let's let them talk. It's okay. The number, they don't got the numbers. It's 133 million people watched Bad Bunny versus 6 million people. They don't let them 6 billion people stew amongst themselves and then let them do their thing. And we over here with the mature don't get emotionally involved in it.
But there was a lot of people on your side of the political aisle that made the big controversy about it. It wasn't everybody. I had no problem with it. I'm like Kevin. I didn't know who Bad Bunny was.
You call them Democrats who are idiots. Will you guys call out Democrats who are idiots? I will call out any Republican who has anything to say about Bad Bunny's performance are the same people who had something bad to say about Kendrick Lamar, and you are a disgrace.
Be careful now, because that's your president did it.
Hey,
the guy you voted for.
Donald Trump, in this aspect, Donald Trump, if you have anything disparaging to say about the Super Bowl, you are a disgrace. You should not say anything about someone promoting their culture that was in the United States.
The guy you voted for over the black woman is a disgrace now. Okay. All right.
But listen to this, Nathan. Listen to this. This is the problem that I have with Tarris and other people who have caped and stumped for Donald Trump. Tarris will denounce Donald Trump over because he has something bad to say about Bad Bunny. But hey, let's give him the benefit of the doubt on the Obama's post, or let's cape for him or apologize for any myriad of other things that Donald Trump does. And Tarris, yes, you better than most. Sometimes you do come out and say it. But this is why people can't take MAGA and Trump supporters seriously. And y'all get offended when people challenge your intelligence level and your reasoning. Don't get mad at me, because your president does it every day. He plays in your face. He challenges your intelligence level and then has you falling all over yourself trying to explain and apologize for the unexplainable and the irredeemable things that he does. And that is what makes y'all look silly. That is why people look at y'all and just shake y'all head. That's why people don't have any sympathy for you when Donald Trump's policies come back to kick you in the ass. That's why people respond to you the way that you do, because exactly like that. You got something to say about Bad Bunny. And that was the point of my column. These MAGA people got something to say about Bad Bunny, but they ain't never got nothing to say about all of the dirt and the bad stuff that Donald Trump does. Man, get out of here with that.
You got Donald Trump deranged syndrome, man. We were talking about the halftime show, and you brought it in like Donald Trump was a. I didn't even know Donald Trump said anything about it until you guys just told me. That's how unattuned you guys care more about Donald Trump than Republicans do. I'm trying, y'all go get. Hey, man.
Well, that's evident. I mean, that's evident. That's evident.
I just want to clear
for the rest of us.
Clear the record for somebody in the chat.
And unfortunate for the rest of us.
The reason why I voted against Kamala Harris, and I said that she's not black, from my research. You do your own research.
Your research.
From my research, and you guys do your own independent research. Kamala Harris's mom is Indian, right? Her dad was born in Jamaica from Indian descent. That's similar to someone from China descent being born in America. He would be considered a Chinese American, not a black American. So it's just because Kamala Harris's father, and you look it up. I did read her book, and her book is full of lies. The lady who she has holding her, who they said that's her grandma, come to find out that's not really her grandma, because there has been They went back to St. Andrew's Parish, to where Kamala Harris's father was born. I've done my research. So you guys come to me and I'm telling you the reason why I did something, and just because you haven't got the level of understanding that I do to make that calculated decision for myself, that doesn't mean that it's not right or wrong. You guys got to do your own research. I'll do my own research. But when I speak on different subjects, it can't flop back around because I've done my research on that, and it doesn't align up with the Bad Bunny stuff.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. A lot of questions here. Let's go to the comments here. Christian writes, I'm like, boo, can we talk about the entertainment? Christian writes, Nathan asked about the halftime show. Kevin brought up Trump. Tony writes, Donald Trump won't apologize to you, Tarris. Janice writes, wrong. Your reason for voting for Trump is very immature. Andre writes, you thought the Bad Bunny show was amazing for the country, but you support a president who was doing everything possible to divide this country. Let me see. Leslie writes, we are converting him. Phil is back. Did you watch the halftime show? What's your take on all of this stuff, Phil?
I thought his lyrics, Bad Bunny's, were just fantastic.
They were.
Actually, that was a bit of a joke because they were in Spanish. But I actually didn't watch too much of it. I was mesmerized by Kid Rock and that Turning Point show. I mean, it was so compelling. I just touched my heart.
Same. I went back and forth a little bit because I wanted to see it. I wanted to see what they were going to do. And it looked like a cool concert, but it wasn't on a level, in my humble opinion, in terms of just the bigness of it, the epicness of it to the Super Bowl. And
I thought Kevin...
You can get that anytime, anywhere. But it's cool. I had no problem with Turning Point. If people want to do something alternative and people get into it, great. If you want an all country music Super Bowl halftime thing, go right ahead and do it. If people like it, they want to buy tickets, or just, they want to be a patron, go right ahead. I mean, just like many years ago when, Fox and In Living Color, they did their own Super Bowl halftime show, which a lot of people say has put like a lit of fire under the NFL to step up the entertainment value. I thought that was cool. That it was for my culture, and I got a big kick out of it. So, a Turning Point, I had no issue with it. For the people who are trying to use this to divide the country, that's what my real issue is. For the folks who are just like, hey, I don't want to listen to Bad Bunny, I don't like the music, I want something in English. Okay, great. I got no problem with it. Do you?
I thought Kevin did a good job. I've heard some other commentators do this about bringing up some lyrics of one of the star performers of Turning Point, Kid Rock, about talking about underage women and this and that. I mean, that right there just shows how ridiculous the whole thing is.
Ricky Martin's part, when he said he doesn't want to he says, Puerto Rico stands strong. Let's not take Puerto Rico and make it into Hawaii. To me, that was the strongest point from someone who visits Puerto Rico, and that's where I would like to have another home one day. Please not make it Hawaii. Let's not keep the culture. Puerto Rico is a beautiful place, and what Ricky Martin says. What did he say? It was some saying that says we was powerful. That's why I say that's a little bit more powerful than Kendrick Lamar's.
Oh yeah, for sure. I saw an English sort of like version of it. They had the captions in English, and then somebody was breaking it down for me. I'm like, oh, this is dope. To the point where now I'm thinking about what books I can read so I can get a better understanding of the history of Puerto Rico. I mean, just from my own knowledge. That's what I got of it. I'm like, oh man, there's something here that I can like do a deep dive on and get a better understanding of this culture. And again, we're all Americans. We all Americans, Irish, European, Puerto Rican. If you're an immigrant, we all Americans. We got way more in common than we don't. And there are forces out there that want to divide us for their own reasons. And I think we should resist it. And props to the NFL, because I thought it was very timely with everything going on in the country. I thought it was very timely. I think it took a lot of guts on some levels for the NFL to do Bad Bunny. I thought he came through. I thought it was fun. I'll watch it again. I have no problem with it.
I disagree with you just a little bit on about the Turning Point USA being okay. And I agree with you in principle about this notion of alternative programming, but I hate to mix what In Living Color did with what this Turning Point USA alternative halftime was. The reasons for which they came about were totally different. I'm cool if somebody is like, hey, we think we can do a more entertaining, halftime experience, or we're trying to get a product out, or like In Living Color was trying to do at the time, is draw attention to a new program that, quite frankly, everybody in America came together in love with, a diverse ensemble cast of comedians. That's not the same thing as what the Turning Point USA alternative halftime was. It was an intentional. If they had selected an artist that was more to MAGA's liking, you think Turning Point USA would have still did an alternative program?
Good point.
Let's just say if the Super Bowl had chosen Kid Rock to perform at halftime, do you think Turning Point USA would have still done an alternative Super Bowl?
No, I do not.
Trump would have been there.
No, he would have been there. Okay, so therefore, with that being the case, the purposes behind why they did it was not anything other than political.
Okay.
And that's the problem that I have with what Turning Point USA did, is that it was a purely political move meant to separate and divide the country and say,
right,
we don't like Bad Bunny. He's spoken out against ICE. They're going to speak in Spanish, blah, blah, blah. It was a purely politically driven reason why they did it. Nothing like what In Living Color did, or nothing like what anybody who is generally trying to create something that they think is going to be a great model that might challenge the Super Bowl and something. That was not what the impetus was behind this, and that's the problem I have.
I hear you, but let's be real here.
Not saying they don't have the right to do it. I'm just saying they weren't doing it out of the goodness of their heart. It was designed.
And neither was the people with In Living Color. I mean, let's be real here. That was Fox Entertainment. They did that for capitalism.
Yes.
They weren't doing that because they want to give black people something. They was doing that because they were trying to get a greater market share for their network. Fox Network, Entertainment Network, was very young back then. So they weren't doing that out of the good virtue of their heart. We just want to bring something that's not. It was about money. And so you're right.
Sure, but that was probably the brainchild of
this was about political capitalism, and that was about economic capitalism.
Yeah, I'm sure it was for Fox to do it, but I'm sure that the brainchild of that idea probably came from the Wayans. And I don't know the history of it, but I'm sure if you looked into it, that the brainchild probably didn't come from Fox in some form of capitalism. It probably came from the Wayans. They probably pitched it to Fox, and Fox saw an opportunity to capitalize on it and make money. I mean, look, we know the reality that Fox News was built on the backs of black entertainment.
Exactly.
And a lot of things that In Living Color and other things did to help build that network.
It was all about money.
They now turn around and run programming that runs counter to just about everything we believe in.
But in that way, they're similar. So this is about, and I agree with you, I think this is more about social and political, but it's still about capitalism. And what In Living Color did was about market share. We got a fledgling network. We want more eyeballs on what we're doing, and it worked. It was great. And so
yeah, but they ain't make money on that. I don't know what the numbers are, but I'd be curious to know what kind of money they made off of that alternative halftime show. I mean, you had 5 or 6 million people watching.
It's about market share. It wasn't just about the money they made during that period in which they did the halftime show. We're talking about 25, 30 years ago with In Living Color. It was about market share. They had a fledgling entertainment channel, and they were trying to get more eyeballs to the channel, and it worked.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if was Living Color on at Sundays, and it was getting more that people were tuning off at halftime to go watch Living Color. The
rationale was that there was a lot of talk about the types of entertainment that the NFL was given that opportunity to. And so the folks at Fox and In Living Color say, hey, listen, we're going to do something different over here for us, for our culture. That was the window dressing of it all, right? It was like, hey, we just don't like the types of people. Because remember, it's only been the last 10, 15 years in which they've started to diversify the halftime Super Bowl.
Jay-Z, they gave it to Jay-Z, and when Jay-Z got a hold of it, that's whenever and let's not get it. Bad Bunny, they have to put their own money up to put this stuff on. If like Dr. Dre, somebody is funding this. It's not like Jay-Z goes out and books Bad Bunny and pays Bad Bunny. They have to. Bad Bunny gets the nod, and he has to put together the show himself and pay for it himself and do everything on his own. So I mean, like this is it's not just it's more to it than just, oh, we're going to choose this guy. I do believe that it was politically done by Jay-Z and to stoke more ratings for NFL and to get people talking about things and having us commentate on it and give Bad Bunny a platform to do what he did. I mean, it's a constructed effort by lots of people to get the result that we got right now. But I mean, next year it's going to be somebody else, even in a more whatever. It depends on what the climate of the year is, and then 2028, somebody different will be more controversial because we haven't not had a controversial Super Bowl since Jay-Z has taken it over.
They said somebody suggested that there should be like an all country music Super Bowl. I think it was your boy Jelly Roll in an interview. He said, "Yeah, it should be an all country music Super Bowl." I'm cool with that. There's a lot of diversity in country.
That's what I thought.
Here's the thing. As I said, the Super Bowl for the majority of the 59 years that has been put on. I mean, and the Super Bowl has been the halftime show has been a diverse thing. I mean, some of the most popular artists, in music have performed. I mean, and really that's generally what the halftime show has always been about. Like, people want to make this into a political thing now, but in more recent history, it's about who's popping, who's popular, who are the big stars. That's how you tap who does those halftime performances, whether it's Prince, Michael Jackson, Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar, U2, Bruno Mars. You can go down the line of all of the people who have performed at halftime of the Super Bowl. They are mega stars by and large. I mean, maybe you can go back to Super Bowl I where they had some dudes on a jetpack, flying around the field. But I'm talking about in more modern recent history, that is what the Super Bowl has been. And Bad Bunny falls in that category. He is the most streamed, most popular artist on the planet of any language. And so this is right in keeping with what the Super Bowl has always done with their halftime. But it's those with their agendas who want to try to politicize things. And look, let's not pretend like Paul McCartney and some of these other people who came along before that did not have political views, at the time. Now, were they as vocal about it as artists today? Maybe not. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that some of these artists over the course of Super Bowl halftime have not said things or supported things or let their vote be known in the past. And this notion that because Bad Bunny suddenly did that, he's not fit to perform in the Super Bowl. Again, this is the stuff that people do. This is the stuff that people do to try to stir the pot. Facts be damned. History be damned. Context be damned. It's just whatever side that I want to be on to try to make the other side look bad or villainize them, then that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I did do that, Tarris. I want to play this video. So keeping with the Super Bowl, there was one ad in particular that had some people alarmed. They felt like there could be some privacy concerns. I'm not sure how many people out there have a Ring camera at their home, but check this out. Make sure it's playing right. Check this out. This ran during the Super Bowl. Then I want to get your thoughts about it. Tell me if this is alarming to you.
This is Milo. Pets are family, but every year 10 million go missing, and the way we look for them hasn't changed in years. Until now. One post of a dog's photo in the Ring app starts outdoor cameras looking for a match. Search Party from Ring uses AI to help families find lost dogs. Since launch, more than a dog a day has been reunited with their family.
Be a hero in your neighborhood with Search Party. Available to everyone for free right now.
Join the neighborhood at ring.com.
So people are saying, okay, seems cute and all. You're looking for dogs with this Search Party feature, but this could be used for humans. They're saying that, somehow they get your image in AI and they can just activate Search Party and find you, track you down. What do you think about this? Is this something that we should be concerned about, or is this just nothing?
I think it's terrifying, actually. I mean, look, we're at this point now with AI and with technology, and every time you log on something, you sign away your rights, or you're giving people access to things. Doesn't anybody ever think that it's strange that you got your Bluetooth on your phone and you're talking about something, and the next thing you know, all of these ads about what you were just talking about start popping up in your feed? Man, we are being monitored and watched and surveilled and we don't even know it. And a lot of times we've given away our rights and positions, our rights and privileges by signing on to these apps. And the fact of the matter is, whenever you sign those user agreements, you telling a lie if you sat there and said you read that user agreement before you clicked OK, because they intentionally make it like 200 pages long because they know nobody's going to read on all that. You ain't got time to read all of that, and you want to get your app where you can have AI turn you into a cartoon character based on all your life's accomplishments, right? Like that's the society that we live in now.
I'm not doing that.
And this and this notion that the Ring app, I mean, I think that's a great application, but the fact that you can do that, and probably many people didn't even know that they could turn on your Ring camera without your permission and utilize all of that. Who knows? I mean, they could be looking in they could be looking in your house, gathering all kinds of information. We just don't know. And I think that's the scary part to me.
And for me, it's like, and they're saying this is all about finding your dog. And again, you know, your family pet can be just like a family member. You know, I've had dogs growing up. My grandfather had dogs, very, very close to them, love them, care about them, the whole 9 yards. But the reality is sometimes you lose them. Sometimes they run away. Sometimes things happen. You know, this idea that can be used to open the door for AI to find you, I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I mean, if the application is going to stay there for like finding lost pets, that's cool. The human beings seem to have this predilection that whenever we get new technology, it always seems to be used for the worst case scenario, to incarcerate rather than liberate the human spirit. And potentially this could be that as well. And again, sometimes you just lose your pet. It just makes you be more careful. What do you think, Phil? Tarris?
Well, one of the people that I really admired was Edward Snowden, who you might recall was a guy who basically gave up his life, or at least his career and his family and everything, to expose the fact that the government was just snooping on everything. You know, he's had to live in exile in Russia, and I always admired that. And you know, the whole thing scares the hell out of me because, you know, that old thing that I like to say, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, you got nothing to worry about. No, that's not the case. Okay. This is what totalitarian regimes use all the time. In China, I mean, they're watching everything. There's no freedom there. There's no privacy. And that scares the hell out of me. I actually was scheduling a couple minutes on the phone tomorrow with a good friend of mine who's kind of a high tech guy. And I just want him to tell me, what can I do to minimize that kind of stuff on my screen? Okay, what can I do? Okay, maybe I use DuckDuckGo instead of Google, which I already do because supposedly they don't track. But there are some other things you can do, and I want to do everything I can to not be tracked.
First, it's a dog. I think they're playing with our heartstrings. First, it's a dog, and then it's going to be everything else. They issue it into a commercial of like everything. Your dog. What if it's your dog? I mean, when I was selling cell phones, I would talk to the grandmas and say, "What?" And we're introducing text messaging, and at first people say, "I'll never text message. I'll never." It's 15 years ago, and they taught us in sales to hit them in the emotion. Talk to the grandmas and tell them about what if their kids are text messaging, and what if their kids are at soccer practice and they can't get a hold of them and they're out there raining. They buy that text. If you hit these people in their emotional headstrings and just lie, I'm a pet owner of my dog. So hit me there, but it'll be the dog on the emotional level first, and then after that, boom, boom. And I already think that they're already getting all our data. That's why AI is so exact. Like if I take a picture and I upload it into a AI thing, it'll take all your outside stuff because it's already seen that before, and it's just calculated. Okay. I mean, the more that they start, the more cameras out there, the more data they get, the more that they're going to have these data operating centers and pulling more energy and needing more resources and doing more war. I mean, it's just the technology world that we live in, and we got to embrace it. I mean, yeah, it's scary, man. I'm scared to death of it, but I'm also embracing it by learning ChatGPT, learning all these different AI tools that they're going to be using, because that's nothing but our AI. They take the visual and then they broadcast it out on all their devices to find a matching tick that's the same thing. It's artificial intelligence. So it's only going to get, like you said, face recognition to where if somebody's committed a crime, they'll be able to zoom in on them. So, but they're introducing it as soft programming to hit you on your heartstrings first, and then it'll be easier to get you to accept it, in my opinion.
That's like everything. That's like everything.
Here's what I would say on that and what I think one of the most shocking things for most people is the fact that you didn't know about this, right? Like, I think some people might not have a problem with it if it's presented to you and you have the option to turn it off and on, right? Like, yeah, like some people might very well say, just think about the reporter, was it Samantha Guthrie and her mother who's missing right now? Like, I don't think that there's anybody who would say that, like, if you could use technology like this to locate missing persons like her and bring people home and bring criminals to justice, like, I think most people would be down for that if they had the option to know about it and then to sign off. Because I think and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think, like, if there's a crime that goes on in your neighborhood, like the police sometimes like to go around and get people's Ring doorbell footage, but they can't just grab that, right? Like, they got to get permission or they got to get a warrant or something to be able to get access to your camera. They got to ask you that. And so I think, like, that was the most jarring thing, was like, people were like, what? I didn't even really know that this was like a thing, right? And here's the trick, though, is that there might have been something in the fine print of some sort of user agreement or something that you signed that you didn't read that did give them permission to it. It just wasn't widely advertised. And I think those are the types of things that government regulatory agencies, which I know this isn't popular in conservative circles, but you got to do that kind of stuff to protect the consumer, to make sure stuff like that is front and center, that says, yeah, by signing on to this, you have the right to, take control and monitor your thing or whatever and use it for these purposes. I think a lot of people are okay with it if they knowingly have a choice, not hidden in the fine print or anything like that. And that's always the thing. Privacy is like, let me be the one to decide how much of my privacy I want to give away.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Let's move on. Let's talk about city council. So I thought it was an interesting op-ed piece. It was in the Inquirer, and it was all about council members that run for re-election, and then once they get in office, just been in office a couple of months, you're already now looking for another position. Here in Cincinnati, two names come up. Seth Walsh, apparently he is shopping around with the idea of maybe running for, is it treasurer, I believe it is, state treasurer. And then also Mika Owens, there's been conversation about her becoming a Hamilton County commissioner. My question is this smart career planning or a betrayal of public trust? And should there be a law passed that says, look, if you run for council, you got to stay here for your entire, it's only 2 years. You got to stay here for the whole 2 years. You just can't bail within a couple of months, because now you've got a job that you can fall back on if you don't get elected to this other position. What do you think? Is this smart planning or a betrayal of public trust?
So here's what I think. I don't think that you should have rules in place, because, I've argued this on other positions, so I'm going to try to be consistent in that you shouldn't make rules or have rules that are put in place that keep people from pursuing things that might be better for them personally and professionally. I can't say that I'm someone who's in favor of blocking that. But what I am in favor of is that if you are running for office and there's also another office that you're thinking about running for, have the integrity to put that in front of the voters so that they know when they're casting their vote for you, this is what it is. But the challenge with that is most politicians ain't going to be honest about that, because they know if they put that out there in front of the voting public, that probably diminishes their chances of getting votes. So they're not going to be open about it. I would prefer that it be handled in that way rather than creating rules that say, here's what you can't do. You would just hope that people would have enough integrity to say, hey, and these are the questions that we asked the mayor. I mean, in the debate, hey, if you win, are you going to serve out all 4 years? And, Aftab said yes. That was his answer. Now, if he winds up pulling up stakes and doing something else, the voting public can't call that a betrayal, because what you told us was you were going to be here for 4 years, and now you're pulling up stakes. Yes, that's a betrayal because you lied, right? So I'd much rather see it handled like that with candidates. And maybe, when you do these public forums, maybe that's a question now that you start asking candidates for city council in public forums. If elected, are you going to hold that position, for the 2 years or whatever? You're going to finish out your term and get them on the record and see if they'll tell you the truth. Sometimes you got to force that question or force that answer.
I believe it's smart planning. Just saying that as a elected official, if I was ever to have, and I just stated on the show earlier that I have potential, political aspirations further than just being a city council member, and I'm making.
Am I hearing Governor Horton? Am I hearing that? I'm just
absolutely not. I'm saying,
okay, I'm just checking. I'm just checking. Okay.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say this. Whatever God has for me in my plan, in this political plan that He has for me to do, I'm gonna follow His lead on that. But I know, speaking on this subject, as a city council member, is it smart planning or betrayal of public trust? I believe that it's smart planning, because why would she seek another position without proper backing to go after that position? And I'll explain. And on top of that, what does this have to do with the current council member's ability to do her job? If it's taken away from her, she's missing city council meetings by going and campaigning, or if she's putting the county commissioner potential position ahead of her roles and duty as a city commissioner or a city council member, that could be something to raise a flag. But I don't know anybody who, as a politician or someone in the workforce that is aspiring to do better, that is going to reveal their next move to what they're trying to do. They're going to work hard and try to get that promotion. You're not going to, because you'll probably have someone in front of you that doesn't want you to have that spot. That's why I feel like it was a good positioning on Mika's position, because there's whenever you have political control in a Pacific Party, as the Hamilton County Democratic Party holds political control in Hamilton County, only thing you can do from there is infight, because you don't got the Republicans, because you already dog walked them, and you put a whole city council, 8 city council people on there of all Democrats. So within that party, there's a pecking order that's supposed to be pecking, right? But if somebody doesn't agree, and Mika has the momentum and probably has the ground game, and probably will do a very good job of challenging a position that she feels would probably serve her. She could probably serve better in our political future. She probably have a longer tenure, because city councils every 2 years, county commissioners every 4 years. So she has to campaign less. She probably got more influence on a budget for the county wise, instead of just being. So I don't see it as being a bad move politically at all. It's a political bad move if you're not a politician and you don't have aspirations to be to move further. But I see what Mika did as playing chess, and I thought it was a beautiful chess move, especially to say, okay, because you know how big that a Democratic endorsement is. They've proven it. This last election, all 8 endorsed got put on the city council. So she went, in my opinion, to the Democratic Party and says, give me a fair shot. I can beat her. I can beat her if you don't endorse me. I'm the future. That's the past. What you gonna give me? Who could ask for more than just a fair shot at a position? And that's why that's why I have respect for Hamilton County's Democratic Party and how they do things. Because if they would have said, no, we're gonna sun you, Mika, you can't do this. Because we got our person here. They said, you know what? If you can beat her, and then we got your back. And that's going to be the future of the Democrat. So I don't think it's as anything but a smart chess move on Mika Owens. And I said it the first time, Mika, if you're watching this programming and you need a little help from this country boy over here in Kentucky, I might be a Republican, but I could push you through.
Phil, what do you think? Is this a betrayal, or is it just good planning?
I think it depends how much time you've spent in the current position. I don't think it's so much that, oh, you just ran for election for this and now you're running for something else. If somebody's had, let's say, been on city council for, I don't know, 4 years, something like that, I don't have a problem with them running for something else, because you can't control the timing, okay? It is, as Tarris said, it's every 2 years city council, 4 years county commission, and you can't always just control oh well, I'm not going to run until my term expires. I mean, you can't control that, but I do think that if somebody runs for an office like the first time and then suddenly they run for something else, I think people look at that as a lack of trust. That's not somebody who you have a lot of faith in. Whereas if somebody's been on there a couple times, couple years, I don't have a problem then if they jump to another position.
Should we pass a law that says, like, look, it's a 2-year term. You at least got to spend a year there before you leave in your new term?
And she would. I mean, if let's just say theoretically, if Mika Owens were to win this year, I mean, so she's reelected. She wouldn't start serving until, I believe, January of 2027. So she would have served 1 full year of her term by the time the election cycle is over. I mean, I think that's the thing about these 2-year terms that, you got to reconcile with in Cincinnati. People wanted the ability to be able to change council members quicker, but a byproduct of that is, basically you serve a year and then you're spending the next year. One of the 2 years that you're in office, you're spending campaigning, right? Like that's what you get when you get that every 2-year turn. And then, like Phil said, you can't match up with the timing. I agree with everything that people have said here. I think it just depends on what position you're coming from. If you're coming at it from the position of a politician, then yes, everything that has been said on here is perfect. If you're coming at it from the position of a voter who elected a particular individual with the mentality that person was going to be, like, that was my person and I expected them to be there for this amount of time representing my views, then it's going to feel like a betrayal because, even if that person says, well, I select Nathan to pick my replacement. Yeah, that's not who I voted for, right? That's not who the majority of people voted for. So I think there's and neither side is wrong, I think, for feeling, sort of the way that they feel. I think as voters, you just got to automatically come into the voting process with the assumption of whoever you vote for has the potential to be gone, within a year of you electing them. That should probably be just like a default thought process for voters so that you're not surprised if somebody pulls up stakes. I hate to say it, but that's, for all of the reasons that we've laid out here, that's about the best you can do is assume that unless somebody pledges to you on the campaign trail that they're going to serve out their term, then you got to assume that they're candidates for to bounce. And again, that's something that voters should start asking council member candidates. Do you plan to serve out the entirety of your term? I think that's the only way that you can get close to that is to ask those questions and see if they'll be honest enough to give you an answer.
I think we can get close. I mean, we could pass a law. It's potential. I mean, potentially pass a law that says, look, you got to fill out your whole term. You're not allowed to leave the job. And if you do, then there's a penalty for your party. So the way it works right now is that council members, they get together beforehand and they say, listen, if I leave early or I die or whatever, then these 2 people are going to choose my successor. But what if we passed a law that said, no, we're going to have an open seat. We're going to run it. You leave early. The party doesn't choose. You don't get a chance to designate who chooses. This is going to go back to the people and people will decide again.
Yeah, but then you got to have a separate. Then you have to have a separate election.
What's wrong with that?
It usually goes to the vote getter. Some people
costs a lot of money. I mean, and what are you going to do if Mika Owens leaves in, I don't know, February or something, and you're going to spend money for an entire election for one seat, for one city council seat? Yeah. Why not just wait till the next? To me, that's just a waste of money, in my opinion.
How's it a waste of money to take it? Hold on, Phil. How is it a waste of money to take it before the voters? The voters should choose.
Okay, but they choose every 2 years. Okay, they don't choose just because somebody leaves. I mean, you're going to spend all that money. Put somebody. I don't care. Appoint somebody. It's only 2. Can't you wait till the next election rather than spending all the money for one council seat?
Well, then you got an open seat for,
and also
for
it's an at-large.
Nah, here's an easier fix. It's one that's been proposed that it answers Phil's concern about spending money on elections, and as well as your concern, Nathan, about the penalty to party. I mean, the 10th, 11th, or 12th, finisher in the election is the one who slides in and fills that seat.
I like
so in this case, you would have a Liz Keating or somebody Smitherman or Lakita Cole, one of those folks would slide in. That's no extra election. It's somebody people actually cast votes for in the city. And it does give you something to think about from the party standpoint of if that person leaves, guess what? That seat going to a Republican in Liz Keating because she was the next closest to getting on to city council. So I think a charter change with something as simple as that could rectify without making a rule, right, that says you can't leave. I think a simple charter change like that would accomplish everything that
Sounds good to me.
People are kind of concerned about.
Sounds good to me. What's wrong with you? Like that idea, Phil?
Yeah, I got no problem with this. Fine.
That's the way we do it in Kentucky. Like it goes down to the list of the next voted person, and that going in. So if you're like 4 people on city council and someone steps down or someone that next person would eventually be elected up.
Hey, Nathan, you know all that would happen with that, right? They would expand that Democratic slate. They would add more names to that Democratic slate to make sure that 10, 11, and 12 got those votes. That's the only thing. That would be the workaround for the party. Man, I just say that to say that no matter what you think you're gonna come up with to fix the system, there's always gonna be a workaround. Right, that would absolutely be the response. To
that would be the counter.
Candidates on a mailer going out and they say pick 8 of the best of these 10 because we can't pick the ones who we know, but pick 8 of these best 10, and that's how they'd be able to do it.
Yeah, because now they would stop running for just the 9. It would be 10, 11 just to cover themselves. Goes back to what I said. Maybe you just do a separate election. Yeah, it costs money, but hey, it costs money. That's all I got. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you. We didn't get to everything, but I want to keep it around 90 minutes. We're a little bit over. Phil, Tarris, Kevin, really appreciate you. The audience.
I got to ask Phil one more time. Phil, do you have any family members who have met Donald Trump?
Is this a trick question?
No, I'm asking you for transparency because
to the best of my knowledge, no member of my family has met him, and I don't feel bad about that.
Because I'm doing my research and I've got some alternative information that I'm building a case to see if you really don't like Trump, or if you're just saying this and you're Republican in name only. We call you guys rhinos, right? Republican in name only.
Okay, I got a question for you. I got a question for you, Tarris, since we're talking about this. Is Donald Trump a conservative?
Donald Trump used the Republican Party and MAGA to get into office.
No. Just answer the question. Is he a conservative?
Man, Donald Trump is a chameleon.
Oh, okay. So what is a rhino then? Am I a truer conservative than Donald Trump is?
I said rhinos are Republicans in name only. You on the show the other day, you said
aren't
the only reason you gave a soliloquy on why you became a Republican. You did it for a job. You didn't do it because you have true Republican values.
Well, that's okay. That was a little anecdote.
That was anecdotal. That's what I thought you didn't know what anecdotal meant a minute ago. You was like, "What is anecdotal?" But back to my question. I'm building.
Don't take it personally.
I'm building my case because I want to know. I'm gonna get to the root.
I'm just asking you to speak the King's English, but that's the side point.
You and Trump. I'm finding out you guys have a deeper connection than what you put on in here. And for someone who does not like Trump as much as you don't like Trump, I'm trying to get to the bottom.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to hear this, but let's just clarify a few things, okay? Standing up to foreign dictators, that's a conservative/Republican position. Standing up for the rule of law, that is a conservative/Republican position. Free trade is a conservative Republican position. Donald Trump is on the total opposite side of all of those, okay? So he's not a conservative, okay? The sad thing is about our party, Tarris, is we have talked about chameleons. Our party has shifted all their views so that now being a conservative means you support Donald Trump, even though the positions that he stands for are totally contrary to our whole history, especially starting with Ronald Reagan and before.
But the only people who are doing what you're saying, Phil, are Republicans and
Republicans.
name only, and the Democrats. They're all
You're
even in this programming today. Let me finish this point. Even in this program today, someone said just because I voted for Donald Trump, they can't hear anything else that I said. They can't listen to anything else that I said just for that simple thing. So everything that you're saying is true. I agree with you, but that's not the Republican Party, and that's not what the Republican Party is standing on, and what the Republican Party was started for, and that's not the why I'm a Republican. The Republican Party started to end slavery. The Republican Party was the party that wrote every single civil rights bill ever to this date has been written by the Republican Party, and then we lose face on that when we start thinking just because somebody votes for somebody a certain way, and then we have rhinos who, and so. That's why I asked you that question, because I'm doing some research.
All right, I love you. I can't wait for the research. But do I have some long lost cousin who was related?
Oh no, these are going to be.
How about we do Ancestry and Me? I'll look at my Ancestry and Me and see if there's a Baron von Trump in my past. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, but I'll say this. I'll say this. The real rhino is Donald Trump. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Take any traditional Republican position, and he's against it.
All right. Well, that
hey,
was
Nathan. Hey, before we go, one, I can't let TNT had a comment earlier in the chat that was just hilarious to me, and I can't go without letting to get this off. When we were listening to the Sexy Phil Love Chronicles early in the show, TNT was like, tell Phil to get off Christian nationalist mingle, the website. I was like, man, that was hilarious. I couldn't really get away.
Nicole, you've cut me to the quick. I have nothing to say.
And then the other thing I want to say, man, I want to give Nathan his props. You do a fantastic job, man, managing this podcast, setting up the topics, dishing the ball out, and then still trying to get your flows in amidst, some very opinionated people. And you always bring some thought-provoking questions and good conversation to the table that always makes the show great. So you're kind of the unsung hero of Hot Mic, because you set the rest of us up. I want to make sure that you get your props, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. You can't hear you, Nathan. Nathan, we can't hear you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Kevin. To the audience, thank you for being here. We'll be back on Friday at 1:15 p.m. Same channels, Facebook, YouTube. If you're not already subscribed on YouTube, please subscribe. Sometimes things happen on one channel, and you can find us on the other channel. We're also on, we're everywhere. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, and we're on Fanbase with clips and different little stuff from the show. So if you're on Fanbase, we're on Fanbase. Check us out. Until Friday, have a great week, and we'll talk real soon.